Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order for the April 15th, 2021 Kaneha Recreation Park District Board of Directors regular meeting. First off, we have a call to order and a flag salute. So I was wondering if our director, George Lang, would be so kind as to lead us in the flag salute this evening.
Well, thank you, Chair Nichols, and it'll be my pleasure as we all face the flag. Either place your hand over your heart, or if you're a veteran, salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And with that, could we please have our roll call?
Director Nichols.
Yes.
Director Cussworth.
Yes.
Director Lang.
Here.
Director Holt. Here. And Director Huffer.
Yes.
Thank you. And as a final reminder, as our secretary leaves the room, if you would keep your microphones on so she can take adequate minutes to record this meeting. Thank you. Next, we have special presentations, and who's going to introduce our special presentation this evening?
We have Rick from our Dos Vientos Community Center presenting on what life has been like during the COVID time at Dos Vientos.
All right, welcome.
I think she knows you, Rick.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I have enough social distance. I can pull this mask down a little bit.
Absolutely.
I am just happy to be here in sharing with you what's been taking place with the Dos Vientos Community Center over the past year. As some of you may have realized, this past year has been rather challenging. There have been a few, changes to our society overall that have, made us rethink, adjust what we've been doing. And I want to share some of how Dos Vientos team has been making those adjustments. This team has been just creative, resourceful, but at the same time, closely following the guidelines that have been established at the state and county level in order to make sure that we maintain safety, responsibility for our community. Some of the programs that I want to highlight are the quarantine program that has been running, preschool pre-K, the Westlake senior programs, and pop-up programs that have been putting on over at Dos Vientos Center. Also the Rancho Potrero partnership. Some of the programs that I do want to highlight for you today. So I want to start by touching on quarantine. Now, this program was started up because of the void that was created by students, CVUSD, going into a virtual mode. And now all of a sudden we had a few kids in the community that really needed someplace to go, something to do, some way to stay active, and quarantine was born. And initially we put out multiple options for the families. We had a variation of days, times that they could go, and right from the get-go back in August, it was determined in the Dos Vientos community that they really appreciated the Monday through Friday mornings and the Tuesday afternoons. And this has stuck ever since, quite consistently. And, this showed us that this is what the community was looking for, and we were responsive to that. But also part of what made this so successful was the team that put this together and what they did with creating a program that really filled what the families were looking for. They brought in, this was sort of in a sense filling the void left by not attending campus. So they brought some education into it, incorporated STEAM, science, technology, and so forth, but also coupled that with fun, because last I checked, we're recreation. And so we need to have fun with this. But at the same time, they're looking for, educational components. And so our team was able to do that. Also, this is taking place week after week, and we need to make sure that there wasn't monotony. So our team right from the get-go, established themes on a week-by-week basis, and the kids and families loved them. I mean, the kids were going home with stories of, this is what we did today. This week was superhero theme, and we learned about, wind resistance in when flying over buildings, and we made this, and we got to bring this home, and the kids were loving it. And parents were just asking us weeks before the month was over, hey, can we sign up for next month? What about the month after that? We'd like to sign up for that as well. And it's still going strong. And I do believe it's because of the team that put that together, the creativity and, what they were able to provide for the community. Here's an example of some fun being had. You can see this was during, if you may have been able to guess, it was in October. This was during Halloween week. And, the kids just loved it. They had a great time with it. A lot of fun was had. Another demographic that we were catering to was is currently the preschool and pre-K age. And this was a shock to the system for these families, where all of a sudden we had to essentially bring a halt to in-person meetings, and these preschoolers and kindergartners, they had to go virtual. Well, our instructor, Miss Pat, she stepped up and just made that as seamless as possible and just provided the comfort that those kids really needed, and those families frankly needed as well. There was a lot of unknown that was taking place, and for them to know that they had that consistency, that they could still count on their children, gaining the skills and interaction that they needed was just, brilliant. I must say with Miss Pat, it was brilliant. Well, summer came around, and now moving into fall, and guidelines are shifting on a moment-to-moment basis, and we realized we could start bringing some in-person programming back into play as long as we followed those guidelines closely. Many of the families were still unsure about bringing their kids back into the classroom. And also, the room size, we only have so big of a building, Tom, and we can only bring so many people in there.
Tom.
So what we did was we looked at the patio that we had, and also the guidelines were saying outdoor is a preferred method of programming. We could fit 10 children comfortably in a classroom setting out on the outside patio. We put that option out there. Some took to it, some did not. We were able to put together a class of combined preschool and pre-K students to fill that need and provide for them. And Ms. Pat was able to modify the curriculum and really provide, again, this essential need for these kids at this age, preschool, pre-K, that need this social interaction. They need to develop their social skills. They need to prepare for kindergarten for once they do step out into onto the public school campuses, and we're able to provide that and provide a great program for that. Again, we have the parents that are lining up to sign up for the next program as well. Again, just showing what the Dos Vientos staff was able to do in order to make the modifications needed in order to continue to provide. Well, let's talk about some more people that we're helping. We have this partnership, this terrific partnership with the city of Westlake, where we provide senior programming. And again, this programming was brought to a halt. And I will say, with my history with the Global Adult Community Center, that socialization is just essential for the older generation as well, for wellness, for just staying active and engaged. And with these programs just yanked out from under their feet, we made a modification to provide the virtual programming for them. And it has been successful. It's been running throughout since. And people are signing up on a regular basis to participate in yoga, in ukulele, in art classes. The city of Westlake is appreciative of what we're continuing to provide for their population. And the people, the patrons, are especially appreciative. And we just got another batch of reviews back where people pointed out by name my rec specialist, Matt, for continuing to bring these programs to them and to help them as they navigate these new challenges of figuring out, how do they get into this Zoom meeting? Do they need to go to this link? Do they need to have a code? Do they need to go in at the right time? And our team's been there to help them navigate this. And it's really been well received. Some of the feedback we've received is, I really need yoga today. Enjoy your class. It keeps me moving. Additionally, we've learned from what we've been doing that, hey, some of this works, and much of what we're doing, much of what we're learning here can be transferred forward into future programming that we do with Westlake and beyond, ultimately just multiplying what we are able to provide for our community. Pop-ups. So this one I was particularly proud of our staff coming together and saying, hey, you know what, we've listed these programs in the program guide, but things have changed so much and we won't be able to do this. What more can we do? Let's come up with some ideas. And we put some ideas out there and we gave it a shot. We put a pop-up program out there, a drive-in movie, and it was a hit. People received it well. They appreciated it. They said, yes, this is great. We like this. The Dos Vientos community liked this. And they said, we would like more. We got great feedback on it. So we continued to get creative. We came up with, a gingerbread workshop, a Valentine's event, most recently the Leprechaun Gold Hunt. And also additionally, we continue to do the drive-in movies. In fact, we've got one tomorrow night and they've been well received. It's something that we just wanted to give it a try. We heard the public. They said, we want more. We provided more, and it was successful. You can see from the pictures, we got creative with how we laid it out in order to be able to have the socialization, but still maintain that safety. So we designated tables specific to households. So we made sure the tables were separated, but anyone at that table could all be from the same household. Therefore, they could all be together, and they could just be, right 8 feet away from another table where they have some other people that they look over at their gingerbread house and they say, hey, mine's looking a little bit better than yours, but I like the way you're doing the frosting on the trim over there. I might steal that idea. And just really getting that social, socialization, that recreation that we're really looking for. So I was really excited to push that forward and to continue to do that. Leprechaun Gold Hunt, again, they're just out there. You can see by their faces. The masks, the masks might be covering up your mouth, but you look at the eyes and you can't hide that smile, You see those smiles in those eyes. So really proud of that. Another thing really excited about is the partnership with Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. And we started this last year, and we take care of listing the programs, marketing the programs, take care of the registration for it. And it has just been well received by Dos Vientos and the community throughout. These programs are just filling up on a regular basis. We're doing, well, for one thing, just this picture highlights the experience of the Ride-On unit they've been doing programs for more years than I know. They have a lot of experience. You can see that they have the techniques in place for social distancing and just running a great program. Programs that we've been running: horseback riding classes, horsemanship, which is just essentially taking care of horses, and that one's been well received as well. Wrangler camps, adult trail rides also, and this is just the start of it. This is a new relationship, and we're just going to continue to develop what we're doing with them. So excited with this partnership, and especially with the new increased relationship with Rancho Potrero and Kaneha Recreational Park District that, we're just going to continue to watch this grow and just really enhance the recreational opportunities that we provide for our community. I keep going back to the team. This is the team here. This Dos Vientos team has stuck with us throughout all of this. They have faced challenges. They have faced concerns. They're essential workers, undoubtedly, and they have done just a stand-up job. I am so incredibly proud of them, so incredibly to have that as my team. And I feel that we have a track record that is just worthy of praise for what they have been able to do. So with that, I just want to thank you for taking the time to hear me, to review what I wanted to share with you. And I want to thank you especially for all of the support that you provide for us, because again, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without all of you. And as I shared with you, the public is receiving this well, and that's kudos to all of you for the support that you provide to us. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Really appreciate that. Before we go to questions, could you just clarify, because I know we try to record this segment and then have it available on the website. Again, your name, your title, what you do there, and also why Rancho Potrero and Westlake adults when you're in Dos Vientos?
Sure. So again, my name is Rick Tanaka, and I'm the recreation supervisor of the Dos Vientos Community Center. And two of the partnerships that I talked about here were with the city of Westlake, where we partner with them to provide recreational opportunities in the Westlake area. That's the city of Westlake itself. A great team that we work with over there, and just really excited to continue to provide programming for them, even with the challenges that we've faced over the past year, and those programs will continue to grow also. And with Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center, that is, again, our partnership that we're really proud of, with providing registration for their programs so that they can, fulfill their goal of providing for that community as well.
Great, thanks, because I know, while we may be familiar with it, not everybody who might be watching this in the future would do so. So Director Lang, questions?
Thank you, Chair
Or
Nichols.
comments?
Well, Rick, seeing your enthusiasm, your knowledge, your experiences at Dos Vientos does not surprise me. Based on your relationship with CRPD, starting with skateboard activities, organizing that, making that something out of nothing, and your experience at the Global Adult Center, et cetera, is very diverse. And the elements of the programs that you're sharing with us tonight, just a natural fit in my mind with you as an individual. And I'm sure that it's not just your team, it's you as the leader. So thank all of them. And in relationship to the city of Westlake Village, we've had for years and years, as you know, not an obligation, a relationship with the city of Westlake Village, doing other rec programs and so forth. But after, the restrictions, COVID that has impacted us, where would you anticipate the senior programs for the city of Westlake be taking place?
Well, I do see the senior programs returning to the City of Westlake Library/City Hall facility for in-person programming, but also continuing to grow the online programming that has been so successful. So really just returning to what has been taking place and continuing to grow this new element that we have created.
Great. And in regards to the Dos Vientos, I think that is just a gold mine waiting to be discovered. And listening to you and the talking about the programs that currently are taking place, but those in potential in the future, just is so exciting. And as Chair Nichols and myself were on that committee and making the transition from the city to CRPD, we talked about the potential of programs in Dos Vientos and expanding some great family programs. So thank you for all that you're doing. And Rochelle, thank you for having an organization that Rick is able to build into a real winner. So thank you again, Rick. And we look forward to some future programs and maybe even barbecue prior to a CRPD board meeting at Dos Vientos. And I would say, if in my younger days, because we used to do trail rides, the city council, the park district, and the school board used to do trail rides, and in now Lang Ranch. It wasn't Lang Ranch, but anyway, in my younger days, I would say do a trail ride on a horse, but now I'll have to say buckboard or something like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Director.
Chair Nichols.
Director Cusworth, did you have any comments?
So I'm assuming that maybe you have senior programming for seniors at Dos Vientos also?
Yes, thank you. Good question. So with what I shared today, this is just a few of the programs that we've been running, and I just wanted to highlight a few of those. We have continued to have a popular program is a senior aerobics that has been taking place on a weekly basis throughout. It's been moved to an outdoor portion of the park. Again, following all the guidelines of temperature checks and maintaining distancing, but that has been running consistently throughout. And that type of programming will also only grow as, as guidelines permit.
So do you have a pretty good base of seniors from Newberry Park that come over to Dos Vientos, would you say? Is that, or do you not have room to really have much senior things? Or I'm just kind of wondering how the whole senior feel is over at Dos Vientos since you're doing things at Westlake.
We do have a good following of seniors that participate in some of these programs that we've been offering so far, specifically with the aerobics. But again, I do see, in fact, just before the pandemic, I was excited to bring in, I wanted to bring in a senior dance program that was just on the verge of getting started, but then the pandemic hit and the brakes got put onto that. But I definitely see a calling for more senior programming in that area.
So, excuse me. So for the Zoom classes, were those just for seniors in Westlake, or could anyone come in on those?
Those were for anyone can come in on those, but the City of Westlake residents do have priority registration, and they're already familiar with the instructors and receiving the updated information. We found that many of the participants stay up to date via email, and we send out the email notifications to those past participants, and they appreciate and embrace them and sign up for the programs that we are providing for them. Those recognized programs that they want to continue with because they've appreciated how they've been run so far.
Okay, great. I also, I hadn't thought of that, but I'd be very happy to be on a trail ride. I think that this whole thing with the Rancho Potrero sounds very exciting, kind of like the CRPD continues to grow, continues to add new things. And I think we could put, George in the book board, and that would be fine. And, but I'd love to do that. I'm going to go home and look up your classes. I went horseback riding in Mexico last year, and I thought, or I guess the year before now, we didn't go anywhere last year. I hadn't been horseback riding since I was a teenager, and I thought, well, this is kind of fun, so I think that's great.
It sounds like the potential
exciting.
for a future retreat.
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you. Director Holt, did you have any comments?
Hi, I'm so glad to see you here. I remember all the other places you've been and your progress and the success that you're having over there is amazing. And I really appreciate your coming here and explaining to us. So congratulations on the successful things that you're doing. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Director Holt.
And Director Huffer?
Yeah, Rick, you're a hard mind to keep up with.
Yeah.
I saw you at Global some years ago, and then the Teen Center, and now Dos Vientos. And so I strongly suspect that all those different venues that you worked at have enabled you to really do your job at Dos Vientos, because you're dealing with a lot of different populations. You mentioned briefly the Westlake Seniors program, but during normal times, that program, you have one or more of your staff go over to Westlake. You don't have Westlake seniors who are coming over to Dos Vientos, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then similar for the Rancho Potrero Equestrian Center, you're providing some of the support services, but all of the staffing is done by the folks at Rancho Potrero and by the ride-on folks. You don't have the horses coming over to Dos Vientos or anything like that, so.
Not yet.
But it would be safe to say that for most of the programs, both the ones you're doing currently with all of the creativity you and your staff have put in, but again, during normal times, majority of people who you have using your programs, whether it's preschoolers, kindergartners, grade school, high school, seniors and adults, most of those folks are Dos Vientos residents, right?
We do see a pattern that says that, yes.
Okay, all right. So just kudos to everyone at Dos Vientos. And we've seen this at all of our centers that, you guys turned on a dime when things shut down over a year ago, coming up with all these new ideas and new programs and keeping the community engaged has been absolutely wonderful to see. So thanks, Rick.
Thank you so much, Director Heffer.
Again, thank you, Rick, for the presentation. I had a couple of questions. First of all, kind of tailoring my question towards what you just answered here. With Dos Vientos and Borchard Park within reach of each other, a little more than a stone's throw, and Borchard being there for a little bit longer than Dos Vientos, do you find that there is a kind of like a clientele that certain people always like to go to Borchard and certain people always like to go to Dos Vientos? Or is it more of a partnership between the two where Dos Vientos offers certain courses and Borchard offers certain courses, and just to kind of make sure there's no conflict? Just wondering how that has evolved or if that's continued to evolve.
I would have to say that it's a mix of both. You know, Kurt at the Borchard Center and I stay in close communication with each other. And when there are programs that maybe are so similar and so close, we don't want to, you know, conflict with each other in that way. But at the same time, there are programs that just sort of run at any respective community center. And at those types of programs, we do tend to see people that are in the Dos Vientos area coming over to their community center to participate in those programs.
Right, because I know we have a lot of, I guess, district-wide events that happen to be at one of the community centers. Of course, everyone's welcome to attend, but usually those that are closest are going to be the first ones in. I had another question about pop-ups. I presume these are just, somebody has an idea, it's not in the program schedule, and you just make it happen. So how do you get the word out for a pop-up, and you know, what's been more successful as opposed to the least successful in your approaches for getting that word out?
Well, I mean, I do have to say it sort of ties in with your previous question in that the Dos Vientos community has been responsive, it seems, to the pop-ups that we've provided. And then I also mentioned the email notifications that we've sent out, where we've established an email list for past participants of what we see as like programs. We send those notifications out to those that email list. They have the option of unsubscribing if they want to, but most tend not to. And we have received great response from that type of notification. Additionally, we have the corner there where most people coming into the Dos Vientos community, they drive past the corner of the community center, and we have banner space there. And we put up a banner promoting a program, and we tend to get some phone calls on the day that we put a banner up, or for a couple days following, to find out more and to sign up. So that tells us that it is the Dos Vientos community that is responding to the pop-up events that we're providing.
And just to step in, I believe in the past we've worked with the HOA too to help get the word out on special events.
Yes. Thank you, Rochelle. Yeah, we do also have, you know, connections with the local HOA, and we'll, if we're planning it far enough in advance, we'll send out notification to the HOA newsletters and maybe notify the office manager at Sycamore Canyon School and see if we can get an announcement on campus. You know, just other creative marketing means as well.
Very good.
And, one final question. Using your forecasting skills into the future, a year or more into the future, with what you've learned over this last year, especially with the Zooming and interactive, trying to do as best you can, how much of that is going to stay in your program where you realize, yeah, we need to have this as a available option for that? And then how much of the new things like pop-ups where you didn't have it before, and I know you've had to restrict the number, where you're going to say, hey, we're having a pop-up, but rather than it's the first 25, it's just like, hey, whoever wants to come, come. Do you see that happening?
You know, I do. I see continuing with the pop-ups. They've been successful. And if the community is demanding it through registering for these programs, then of course we're going to continue to provide for them. Additionally, just as I mentioned with the senior programming, the Zoom programs have been successful. And even once things open back up, especially initially, there may be people that maybe still don't quite feel comfortable coming to in-person interaction, or it could even just be the convenience of doing it at home. Maybe they enjoy taking that guitar class from the comfort of their own home via Zoom, and they want to continue that. So we can continue to provide those options on top of coming back to more traditional recreational programs that we've offered in the past.
Well, thanks. And again, I wanted to thank you and Rochelle and the whole team, because I know we've heard of, like I said, Rochelle's used this term pivot time and time again, where, you know, the rules changed this week, so we had to pivot another direction, you know, and it just continues to happen. But I appreciate the flexibility that both of you build into your respective roles, where you do allow that creativity, encourage it, and then, you know, the district-wide, our residents benefit from that. So thank you all, and thank you for giving us a firsthand look at what happens out there. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time and appreciate all you do.
Thank you. Okay, let's get back to the agenda here. Next is items from the public. Do we have anybody waiting in the wings as far as wishing to speak to the board? Oh, okay. Is that okay? Maybe waiting for the remainder of the agenda. Okay. All right. Well, let's do this then. I need to have an approval of the agenda, but I understand we're going to have a quick little statement here before we get to that.
Yes, thanks, Chair Nichols. As the board knows, we did receive some information from the communities at Rancho Kaneha petition and a letter from the Dos Vientos HOA. So we're, as a courtesy to the folks out with the agenda, that the person who's waiting is probably wanting to speak on those, that we recommend removing items 9B, C, and D off the agenda. So when we at this time, in addition to Rancho Kaneha and Dos Vientos, they also mentioned the district-wide assessment as part of their information that they provided. We talked with our consultant yesterday, Wildan, who prepares the engineers reports for both the Dos Vientos and Rancho Kaneha assessment districts. We asked them to address the concerns that they had, and since they just got the information, they got one of them on Monday and the other one yesterday or the day before, in order to properly respond and prepare to the concerns that were raised or the letters that the information that's provided. We would like to continue this item and pull it off now, and we could put it on the May 6th agenda. We built in every year the timeline. It doesn't really affect. We anticipate delays that could possibly happen. So this does not affect our budget process and what we need to do in order to approve these engineers reports or consider these engineer reports before the budget is finalized. So between now and May 6th, as I've been in communication with Ms. Barbara Collins, who's one of the letter writers, and also with the Dos Vientos HOA. I've been in communication with Barbara for past few months about this, and I've offered education, information, ability to meet with their HOAs, whatever they need. And I reiterated that offer yesterday that, hey, I'm more than willing to talk, to try to have a Q&A or feedback, and so that they can get a better understanding what the assessment districts and engineers reports are about. And they haven't taken me up on it yet, but again, I'm offering that between now and May 6th also. But hopefully we can revise we can respond to the concerns they have at the next board meeting on May 6th. So items 9B, C, and D, we asked them to be removed.
I appreciate your doing that, because after reading this and seeing their comments by email, I think it's a much more complicated.
Yeah, it's just not a one sentence response. Yes.
Right. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
So with that, Director Holt, would you like to make that motion to approve the agenda with pulling 9B, C, and D?
I would. I move that we approve the agenda as prepared, with the exception of 9B, C, and D, which will be delayed to a further meeting.
Yeah, it's tentatively scheduled for May 6th, I guess. Okay. We have a second to that?
I'll second.
Director Cussworth? Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that will move forward. If there is anybody listening in and wants to speak, again, you're welcome to speak on May 6th, but if you really want to speak tonight, we'll be happy to hear you. Just we can't incorporate that into our discussion, so to speak. So if that's the case, please let our moderator know, and we'll make arrangements to listen in a little bit. Okay, next we have our consent calendar, items 6A and B. We have a motion to, Director Huffer,
Yes, I'd like to move approval of consent items A and B.
I'll second.
second Director Holt. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you. And next we get to deferred matters. And by the way, I just want to thank our Administrator Hare for being here this evening. I know you've had a busy couple of weeks. I know our General Manager is on the mend, but thank you for being here this evening. Did you have anything to add for the deferred matters?
No, I did not have it.
Okay, so that is just a continuing item until we get to the end of our hearing, and unless there's any comments. Yes, Director Huffer?
I believe that, Mr. Chair Nichols, that the proper protocol is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but I believe from the past, you need to call the public hearing.
Yes.
There being no
Yes, correct.
testimony,
Thank
then
you.
you close the public hearing.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like an ongoing open
Yes.
public hearing, so we'd actually open and close it every evening then. Or every,
Yes,
every,
Every meeting.
okay,
Correct.
then let's do that officially, make sure. I will then open the public hearing for the preliminary budget fiscal years 2021-22 and 2022-2023. And is there anyone from the public wishing to speak to that? Okay. Okay, in that case, I will close the public hearing and we will continue that to our following meetings then. Okay, and I see no items for discussion under 8. So that brings us to item 9A. Mr. Hare.
Yes, thanks, Chair Nichols, members of the board. As you remember, well, let me start with, you should also have a supplemental packet information in with you. In essence, it updates the recommendations that you see on the agenda item. The updated items, the updated recommendations are that you will be authorizing the general manager to enter into a release agreement with G2K Construction Incorporated that is a substantial completion, substantial compliance with the attached document, which you have with you. Our counsel, Mark Sellers, is on the line. He can talk about that in a little bit. The efforts that are being made. That we will determine that based on the bid, on its bid withdrawal and release agreement, that G2K construction bid is non-responsive. 3, determine that built all construction bid submittal is non-responsive and reject bid. 4, appropriate the $150,000 from the district wide fund balance. And 5, as the lowest responsive bidder, award the bid to FS contractors contingent upon execution of the release agreement with G2K construction. A little bit of background. So those are the recommendations. A little bit of background. If you remember, on March 18th, we did award a contract with G2K to execute the contract and start the work. So when we contacted G2K about, hey, let's get this going, during the initial efforts, there was G2K presented an alternate shade structure that they submitted that they wanted to have. The staff rejected that submittal as it did not meet our specific bidding requirements. And then we tried to work together to how we move forward with this. We couldn't find a way to actually move forward with the project. So one of the mutually beneficial solutions we had between the two of us was to have a release agreement to release G2K from their obligations with the contract. So I'll turn to Mark Sellers has called in. You ready with from him, Gabby? So we have the audio of Mark. Mark, if you could describe the draft. You there, Mark?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Everyone hear?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So Mark, if you can describe the efforts, the draft release agreement that they see before them, and the efforts you have with the council for G2K, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, well, the bidder had retained legal counsel, was not going to go ahead with the bid with the recommended U.S. shade, and we were in a dispute. And when you get in disputes with contracts of this size, they can be very expensive. If you have to go to litigation, it was felt that the best approach was to remove that exposure to the district and basically allow the G2K to withdraw their bid, and we will return the bid bond, and we will get the project going with the bidder that Tom mentioned was I guess, the third in line because the second bidder was not responsive. The release document is a full release. It not only releases all claims that each party may have against the other, but it specifically identifies the bid process and the rebidding of the project by the district. And with that, and it was negotiated with the attorneys for G2K, and they're happy with it. They're willing to sign it. And so it's for the general manager to sign. With that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sellers. Board members, any questions for our council? Okay, I see no hands, Mr. Sellers, no questions at this point. Just hold with us for just a moment, please.
Yes,
Oh.
okay, so, so continuing on with that, so there's a release agreement, which, Mark, it's not final, right? You need to finalize it with G2K's council, correct?
I believe it's finalized. I believe that they've agreed to all the changes that I put in their document. Okay. And they emailed me today and said they are agreeable to that. So as far as I'm concerned, it's finalized and it's ready for Jim's signature. And we then will basically scan documents back and forth to get a full document.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you. And so then once the release agreement is, if you approve the recommendation for the general manager to sign that, we're also then the built-all construction. When we started looking to built-all, they were the second apparent low bidder. They did not acknowledge addendums 1 and 2, which unfortunately deems them non-responsive. So we also have, so we would like you to reject their bid. We did contact Built All and they said, yeah, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. So there's an email attached that which they acknowledge that they were non-responsive. This will cost a little bit of additional money to go to the third apparent low responsive bidder in FS Contractor. So it's another $150,000. And then we would award it to FS Contractors. FS Contractors, the district has done quite a few jobs with them. They're currently our drought response contractor that we have. They've done a lot of those projects throughout the parks. They've done some construction projects with us also. So we're very familiar with them and they're qualified and they're ready to go. And then also as part of the board report, we have an email acknowledgement from FS that their bid submittal of March 3rd, I believe it was, is still good and they're ready to go and ready to work. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Director Ling, I think you had a question.
Yes, I just want to make sure the changes that Mr. Sellers referenced and so forth is all covered in the supplemental.
Yes, yeah. In the supplemental packet we had the last 6 pages were the agreement. Yes, that's the one.
So it's up to date. I mean, it's current.
Yes, it's current. Yeah, Mark said that to me earlier on this morning, and from what he said, that look, we got an email back from. We wanted to post as quickly as possible. That's why we called it a draft. But what Mark's saying, this is their counsel said looks good.
Okay. And I believe MRCA also used FS in the past too.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
I think that's, one last thought or question in reference to future bidding. Is there any situation where we'll put into it's already in there, I think.
Yes, we're formulating some strategies to address those issues, and we feel we're gonna come back into the board probably on May 20th with some ideas that we have for approaches.
Thank you, Mr. Hare.
Any other questions for either council or Mr. Hare from the board? If not, do we have a motion? Yes, Director Huffer.
I'd like to move approval of staff recommendations. Number 1, authorize general manager to enter into a release agreement with G2K Construction. in substantial compliance with the attached that we have before us. 2, determine that based on its bid withdrawal and release agreement, the G2K construction bid is non-responsive. 3, determine that built all construction bid submittal is non-responsive and reject that bid. 4, appropriate $150,000 from district-wide fund balance to Kaneha Creek West Dog Park Improvement Project. And number 5, as the lowest responsive bid, award the bid to FS contractors contingent upon the execution of the release agreement with G2K Construction.
Thank you, Director Hupper. Do we have a second for that? Director Cusworth, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hare, for that explanation. I know it's been a little bit of a challenge to get through this, but appreciate the time spent.
And thanks, Mark.
Yes, thank you,
All right.
Mark Sellers. Thank you again for being with us and for your assistance.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
Have a good evening also. And that will take us to item 9E. Mr. Hare,
Ms. Callis.
Ms. Callis. Okay,
I'm gonna ask a dumb question. Is Aline supposed to read the resolution? No?
No,
Okay.
they'll be part of the,
At
you
the
do
end.
your
Oh,
thing.
okay, thanks. So thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. So I am here to discuss the resolution for authorizing the submittal of the Older Americans Act grant application to the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, BC AAA, for the project year of July 2021 to June 2022. So a little bit of the background on this is that the district assumed responsibilities for the administration of the senior nutrition program from the city in 2010. This is, you guys all know the lunch program that served Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 12:30 before COVID, served about 60 people. Since COVID, we've changed it to a drive-through and a walk-up. We serve Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 1:30, so an additional hour, and we're averaging about 100 people served daily. And this is a nutritious meal and a place for socialization for their peers in their cars as they wave by each other for right now. But this is the grant that assists us with the operation costs. And this year, if it is approved, we'll be receiving $101,101. $101,101. This will serve 14,300 meals at a reimbursement rate of $7.07 per meal. This agreement is in meets our strategic plan by continuing to seek partnerships, collaborations, and sponsorships, and also develop, maintain, and enhance relationships with our other governmental agencies that serve our community. This has been a great program. Julie and her team over there does an awesome job. It really, and we can see during this COVID time, it was something that we really needed and will continue to need. We look forward to one day being back indoors. Probably going to be a while because our little dining room is so small and it really only accommodates about 50, I think 56 people. And then with social distancing, that might be hard. So we foresee that we'll probably be drive-through for a while. But the county really does appreciate what we're doing and even continues. This year, we've just got an increase in the monies that we receive because we're serving more people and they have additional funds to help us continue to serve more. So we're just really looking, staff is looking for approval for us to fill out the grant application. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
thank you, Ms. Callis. So we start over here this time. Director Huffer.
The comment and the question. The comment is, I can attest to the fact that the program is wildly popular over at Global fairly regularly, and by 10:30, people are already lining up to get their meals. And you know, the comments that we get from the people are just absolutely spectacular. The question is, the 101,101, is that an increase just because of the number of meals, or is there also an increase in the per meal grant that we're applying for?
I believe that is an increase in a couple of on the numbers, but not on the increase on the dollar amount. But I'd have to double check that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know that what we just got, we just got an increase for this current year that we've in because of the number that we've been serving. And I feel like last year there was an increase in the dollar amount for the meals, but I'll
Per
double check.
meal.
Yeah, I'll double check and get back to you guys.
Thank you.
Sure.
Director Holt, did you have any questions?
No.
Director Cuthbert?
Yes, just quickly, with the grant and then also with the suggested donation, is this program funding itself or does CRPD still have to put some money in to make this feasible?
This program is funding itself at this time.
Yeah, I think it's
Through
an
the
excellent
grants.
program.
Yeah,
It does a
because
wonderful
so
job.
many people donate the $3.
Yeah.
We end up getting money back on it.
Hmm.
So I believe, and again, I'll double check on it, but I believe that this part of the program funds itself through the grant.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Director Lang?
Yeah. Director Hupper's comment about this is, very, very successful and people are very, very happy with the service that CRPD and Julie and so forth are providing. I think that speaks very highly of CRPD, knowing the challenges the program had when it was, under other management. So I'm very pleased that we're getting these rave reviews on this program, and I'm sure those that are participating are also spreading the word about CRPD
Mhm.
and its capabilities of performing. So another kudo to you, Rochelle and Julie and the staff over there at the senior adults, at the adult center.
Yeah, the vaccination clinic that's been there has brought a lot of new people in. People end up in the line for the food and they're trying to go to the vaccination. And then they're like, well, what is this? And then we're like, oh, it's a senior nutrition program. Are you 60 or older? And they're like, yeah. And they end up coming back afterwards and signing up. So she's gotten a couple of new clients that way.
Here, I thought they're all in line for taxes.
Yeah, it's like 3 for 1. You can get your shot, you can get your taxes, you get your food, all at one place.
Wow. All right, yes, Director Holt?
I think I mentioned before that Julie Spivak had been awarded, but now I'm not sure, I don't remember what it was, that, she was recognized for her involvement in that, but also, just everything at the senior center. And it's really now for the staff, because I bring magazines over here that they can put in the library here. And there is one from the Kaneha, one of the councils in Kaneha. Anyway, and they had all these outstanding young people. There was a picture of Julie Spivak in there too.
Mhm.
So I got that at the library when I rented, books. So if that happens, look for her picture, and she's been highly, touted for everything she does.
Mhm. Thank you. And I'd just like to add a couple of comments. I would have to say that this is kind of like been the hub of the activities for the senior adults for this last 12 months. Something they can count on. It's regular. It's always there, and the staff is excited to see them. And the events that they put on impromptu over there have been wonderful. Just kind of as I've seen what looks like an impromptu car show of people driving through there with their older cars. So, I mean, it's been great. But what to me, this highlights is Rick Tanaka was talking about some of the educational roles that they're playing there, even though they're a recreation district. And here it shows the social service roles. So we are, multifaceted in so many aspects. But what I appreciate is not only the creativity of the staff, but the appreciation expressed by the community and their participation. So obviously it's doing the right thing. So I appreciate that. I think you answered my question about the donations received. So obviously there's enough of that to help. And you mentioned that the program funds itself, but is that just the direct costs and expenses of providing the food? Obviously you have staff time I guess that just gets absorbed in the overall programming that you provide.
In a normal time, we have volunteers that help in the kitchen and stuff. So it's Victor, who's the chef, and he works with volunteers. So the funds that we get cover his salary and some other, a little bit of, I think, the office staff. and then all the food and the product and stuff.
Mhm.
Right now, we don't have as many volunteers working. We have more staff working. So that ratio might be changed right now. So that's what I got to double check on.
Oh, sure. I know there's a lot of things over the last 12 months have just been kind of, just get it done. We'll figure out in the end,
Yeah.
and appreciate the efforts to make that happen. Okay, so with that, we do have a resolution before us. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve the resolution. Okay, Director Cuthbert.
So I recommend that you approve resolution number 041521D, authorizing the middle of the Older Americans Act grant application, and that it be read in title only and all proceedings be waived.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
All right, we have a second by Director Lang. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, if I could please have our secretary in the wings read that in the resolution in title only, please.
Resolution number 041521-D, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Kaneha Recreation and Park District authorizing the submittal of the Older Americans Act grant application to Ventura County Area Agency on Aging for project year July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes our new items. Now we'll move on to 10 reports and announcements.
We have to vote.
We had to vote on
Oh,
that.
well, I voted. We voted. I saw all those in favor say aye.
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 We already had the vote. Yeah. We voted and then she read it afterwards.
I didn't hear it. but I-
Oh, okay. Yeah, we voted. Madam Secretary, did we have a vote on that? Can you confirm that?
No, I don't believe we did.
Oh, okay. Well, then
You
just,
wished it.
we had so many votes. Okay. All right. All those in favor to support that resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there we got it. Thank you. All right, so now we'll move on to item 10, reports and announcements. We have a number of reports in our packet. Was there any questions or comments of any of that? Yes, Director Lang.
Yes, I have a couple of comments on item 10C and 10E. And I guess this is the current Recreation Division highlights. It says Thursday, April 8th. But on page 164, we're talking about our mountain bike classes continues to be one of our most popular and well-liked programs. Can we encourage our general manager to attend one of those classes? And also, more seriously, on page 174, talking about the first part of, part of the first sentence of the first paragraph talks about a decrease.
174?
Pardon?
174?
Correct, thank you.
I
Yeah.
mean, is that what you said? I couldn't-
Yeah, 174. The first sentence of the first paragraph, a decrease in cancellations as enrollment minimums are being met in the fall and so forth. Is this comparable to previous years?
We are doing better than last year, obviously, but we are, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a minute, but we are starting to pass up to 2019.
Okay.
We're seeing some more positive people, especially in spring right now. So we're hoping summer will be even better.
Great. Thank you. No further comments or questions?
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 11A, start with our Parks Division report.
Thank you. Yes, do the Parks Division report now and the General Manager report in a moment. The Parks Division, I just hit submit on the FEMA application for the streamlined application for COVID. So that was, our activities ended March 21st. We submitted costs totaling $164,000. It's being reviewed by FEMA and Cal OES. I've had a few back and forth with them, so hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is in order with that. We recently opened Glenwood and Pepper Tree playgrounds. We did note that there were some adults riding the zip line.
I saw the
Who
picture.
could that be?
I figured that was a really good test though, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so it was, yeah, but it's especially fun, both Pepper Tree, because I get to see Pepper Tree a lot, and obviously Director Cuthbert gets to see Glenwood a lot. But the amount of fun that kids are having and the adults are having on the playgrounds is just astounding. How overwhelmingly popular those playgrounds are. Wildwood Neighborhood Park, we're a few weeks away from opening that one. And I was there just the other day as the kids were walking to school, like kid at the candy store with their faces on the fences. They can't wait for that thing to open too. That's gonna be a lot of fun. We had the meeting with the Rancho Potrero Borders back on April 4th, I believe it was. It was a Saturday, about a week and a half ago. Went very well. Had about 30 to 40 boarders that were there. Brian did an excellent job, as he always does, explaining what's going on. People pretty enthusiastic about the things that we have planned out there, whether it was programming or construction. So it went very, very well from then. And we've already been out there many times with meeting with contractors and some other folks to try to get moving on all the projects that we have out there. So we're looking forward to some great things to happen out there. And then next week, next Thursday, I think it's next Thursday, not 2 Thursdays from now, excuse me, 2 Thursdays from now, we're gonna get the band back together again for the skate park focus group that we formed a while ago. We were ready to roll a year ago, and because we had a focus group, we had the initial design, everything was great, and we were gonna reveal it to the public and do all sorts of wonderful things, and COVID hit. We delayed it to the fall, then we delayed it again to this spring. So we're going to get together again in a couple of weeks and actually start moving forward again with that project, see how we can feel like we're maybe twisted a little bit as far as what our process is and approach to get that project, get some more traction instead of, we've already been, feel like we've done nearly zero on it for the past year because of COVID. So now how can we move forward with it in the best manner? With that, the Parks Division Administrator is available for questions.
Questions for the Parks Division Administrator? I do have one comment, not a question. I was in one of our local businesses, and the owner of the shop said, "Hey, when is that Pepper Tree Park going to be open?" I said, "Well, it should be within a couple of weeks." And he said, "Well, we need to hurry." He says, we babysit our grandkids on Thursday, and we're desperate to get that park open again. Okay. So then the day after the Glenwood Park was open, we took our grandkids over there. And there was a gentleman there at the bench, watching the kids play. And I struck up a conversation. Said, oh yeah, I bring my grandkids here all the time. So I thought, okay, this seems to be a theme here. The grandparents are bringing their grandkids to the playgrounds. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Try to make everybody happy.
Yes, Director Cuthbert.
Well, since you commented, I'll comment too. So I was over at Glenwood Park. And what made me very excited when I was there is before I went on the zip line, there was a married couple probably in their 40s on the zip line. Then there was a group of 5 teenagers going on the zip line. You don't usually see people this age having fun on a kid's playground. And then what really touched them, it was fun. I went on it. And then what really touched my heart though, is that Mr. Hare, who is a believer in art and education, there is a musical component to Glenwood where there's some drums and then there's a little area where you can hit bells.
Yes.
And there was a family there with, a couple probably in their 30s with their little, 18-month-old to 2-year-old, and the dad was pounding the drums, and then the mother said, "Oh, come look at the bells," and then the little boy's hitting the bells and the dad is pounding the drums, and they were making music together. So it wasn't just adults sitting on a bench and kids on the playground, it was families interacting at the park, and I thought that was really wonderful. A lot of good planning and beautifully done. A beautiful park. So
Yes, Director Lang.
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Hare. Based on the zip line, is there weight capacity maximum that should be using the zip line?
Obviously not.
Well, because he's referred to, Andrew's about 285 and he was on it.
I saw,
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah, so, you know, it actually, that's the way we generally test everything out. Andrew gets up, and I'm not kidding you, Andrew gets up and tests pretty much every single component of and he's really just, he's not testing it for stability. He's just like, oh, you know, because you might look at a clamp and it looks solid, but then you put a 6'6", 285-pound man on, and he, you know, Andrew gives a little like this, he'll jump on it, goes, okay, that's solid. Then he goes to the next platform and does all that. I don't know about a weight limit, but I'm assuming it. And that actually, because we've had other structures with a similar zip line, or we had like a state thing over Kaneha community for a while. And this one is by far the most solid and well built, and it works. You know, like you can attest to, I don't know if you look at the way the structure is attached to the zip line part. It's, I mean, because sometimes we worry about, you know, the sand get in there, or a little rock, or someone stuffs some mulch in there. You know, what happens to it? Now, this is, I don't want to say foolproof, but that's solid, and it's big, so it can carry. If it can carry Andrew, it could carry Nelly. Anybody. 4 Nellies.
on that topic, and based on liability, is there signage?
Yes.
Associated with weight?
Yeah, not with weight, it's age. So the age, almost all of our playgrounds, almost all of our parks have playgrounds, what they call 2 to 5, with for the little guys, and 5 to 12. So that's the signage, and it talks about, it has the you know, I don't say absolves us from liability, but that's what this playground is intended for, individuals from ages 5 to 12. So and we have had instances before where someone older than 12 has talked to us about it, and we said, hey, well, you know, you're 20, you're 25, and that's not made for someone who's 6'5". Yeah.
Okay, and my one last comment in reference to you're talking about Lang Ranch Neighborhood Park and the kids looking at through the fence at the candy store.
Wildwood Neighborhood Park.
Say again.
Wildwood Neighborhood Park.
Oh, Wildwood. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Then disregard my.
Well, Lang Ranch Neighborhood Park is we're planning on, as you'll see when we do the CIP budget in a few weeks, that's actually up for next year.
Okay.
But it was Wildwood is the one, because it was next to Wildwood Elementary, so if the kids are walking
Okay.
from the neighborhood
Yeah.
to school, they just can't wait for it to open.
Okay.
Director Huffer?
Yeah, I just have to comment, I'm picturing Andrew riding the zip line and Director Cusworth riding the zip line and this 40-year-old couple and the teenagers. I'm envisioning all these poor kids just waiting their turn and waiting and waiting and waiting. So
Well, Andrew did push a couple kids down to get in front of the line.
as long as only couples. So.
Yeah, there's
All right.
One last thing was, since I spent so much time looking at the fly-bar installation process, when we went there was a family, a young mother with a stroller had wheeled out into the fly-bar so she could be closer to her little bit older son on the equipment. So I thought that's just what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, no, it's remarkable. If you ever do get a chance, and I mean, a little different, long story, but I've got a dog who can't really walk. So she's got a, 50-pound bulldog on almost a Home Depot cart. And we took her on Pepper Tree, and it was almost like pushing on concrete. It's the fly-bar is so smooth and easy. So just because sometimes people that can't wrap their head around that, oh, this is wheelchair accessible. It's really good stuff. It's really it's so much better than sand.
And my grandson also liked the bells at Glenwood. Okay, we'll move on to budget performance report. No, I'm sorry, got the wrong one. B, Recreation Division report. Then we'll get to management services after that. So Ms. Callis.
Thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. So a couple little things that I'll just kind of highlight. You guys got your new catalog. You probably noticed it's a slightly different look with our new marketing supervisor. So just something kind of fun. I don't know if you saw the second page, which was really fun about our playgrounds that Tom's department did up, and Rancho Potrero. Just a reminder that financial assistance is available. So far this year, we've given out over $13,000 in financial assistance, serving 30 families and 37 youth. And we do have a program that actually helps foster youth also. So if you know people, and we have a program for them with financial assistance also. McCray Ranch in the purple section. I know many of you like to not forget when the McCray Ranch shows are going to be happening. I see George with his McCray Ranch mask on. So August 21st and September 11th registration should start on Monday. So it's in here. So, and then Nelly, just for your knowledge, Dos Vientos in the box. Those are the horse riding. Okay. Other things, Reign of Terror is having a special event in 2 weekends, I believe. So if you want to get your pants scared off, that's the place to go and support Reign of Terror. Other things that are going on, where Tim Dewar is working very, very hard at pivoting on the concerts. And so the first concert's going to be coming up. It's going to be very different. It's going to be a purchasing ticket for your square or your circle, whatever he draws on the grass. So it'll be $20. You can put 4 people in your circle. You will go online. You will get your spot, your ticket number, and all that good stuff. So make sure if anybody asks you about the concerts, yes, they're happening, but it's going to be different. So get people prepared for that. July 4th, I know you guys know we're having the fireworks show, but we are working on, Melissa Rufio is working with America, and we're working on the only viewing area that will be in the community. We're going to be hosting, following the COVID guidelines and regulations as of right now. Who knows what'll happen by July 4th? So it could change 5 times, but right now, we're looking at doing, selling the spots up here. We've worked with the city and the national parks, and they're allowing us to use this parking lot. Usually the city, has this parking lot, but we are going to sell spots for viewing, every other spot. And this will be the viewing. The other locations that normally we would market as viewing spots, they are not encouraging viewing this year. So as of this point, so this will be the only viewing spot, and the tickets will more than likely be about $100. But otherwise, it's enjoy it from your home, your front yard, wherever you are. So that's what we're doing. Along the lines of what you were talking about earlier, just kind of how we're doing in general in spring, comparing the spring enrollment. If you remember last year's spring, we canceled everything and gave everybody their money back. So this spring's numbers are 90% of what 2019 were. So we are feeling really good about that. So like I said, if we can just have a really good summer, we will be, and it's still, we can't do summer the way we've always done summer. We have smaller numbers, we have different staffing situations and stuff like that. So, but we're going to continue to keep opening things. Our community centers as of Monday their lobbies will be open from 9 in the morning until 8 at night. Kaneha Community Center will only be open till 7 at night. So those are the 4 community centers. And then, so people will be able to come in and ask a question, social distancing, and then leave. The bathrooms will not be open to the public inside. They'll be only open to people in programming. So the other thing that's going to be happening is we're starting a new system for families to rent gym time. So the gym will be split into half. A family can pay, I believe it's $20, rent half of the gym for up to 6 people to come shoot some hoops, do some different things. Staff are still working on other things. So there might be in the future, it's kind of to replicate open gym, but because we have to monitor the number of people and how many are going in and out and everything, we are doing the rental until we're able to just like open the doors and let it be free for all. So we'll probably we're starting with basketball, and we'll be looking at other sports that are traditionally done in our gyms. So all the other folks that really want gym time, we'll figure something out as the weeks go on. So, if you want to see a really busy Saturday, go by Borchard. I went by there this weekend. They have basketball for little kids, t-ball, and the skate camp is going off the hooks. I think this is like the prime time for us to get the skate park back up and running because there's just so much activity over there. That starts I went at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if anybody wants to go and check that out, you already hit the mountain biking class. I did go to Global Center's bingo. They had a spring bingo sold out. They have 2 more bingos planned. All of them, I believe, are sold out. So people just love it. 50 cars are out there. They're playing, get their meal and playing bingo in their car. And they just love seeing each other. Or they'll come with 4 people. Some people come just by themselves in their car. It was real nice to see people out there doing it. The next one is Victor, the chef, and Mike McAdams are going to be challenging each other on the best grilled cheese. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, I know. Guys and Dolls opens this weekend, you guys. Right? Right? Okay. $25 if you go to the drive-in, which is actually going to be out at ETI. So
Per
with the
car.
screen per car, $25 for the car. And then if you want to live stream it, it's $25 for your family. Or if you're single, it's $15. Don't know how we monitor that, but that's how you sign up. So, and that you can find on hillpresarts.com and get those tickets. So it looks like it's going to be an awesome show. And I believe with that, I am available for questions. And I turned my mic on, so I'm not going to get a text telling me to turn it on.
Yes, Director Holt.
Hi, I'm just curious about the concert. Is it, you're charging $25 a person?
No, $20 for your circle,
Okay.
and you can put 4 people in your circle.
4 is max.
4 is the max. It's 4 people. It's measured out, and they're 10 feet away from each other.
10 feet.
Yep. So your 4 people, your circle will be 10 feet away from the other. So as numbers change, we should be able to
Fit more
potentially add more. So the Memorial Day one is going to be this way. If the rules change 30 days before the July ones, we'll be able to make adjustments. And then the 2 in July will probably stay the same because it's going to be a lot of work to get out there and mark everything and all that good stuff. And we're really going to have to do a lot of marketing to make sure people know it's just not just to come and enjoy. Like you've got to reserve your spot so we know who's coming. So
But I mean, if only 2 people want to go together, they're still paying
it's
the
$20. Invite 2 neighbors, 3 households can hang out together.
Huh?
Yeah, 20, I believe it's $20.
Oh, it's 20.
2 deer, yeah, so it's basically $5 a person, but but
No,
it's,
it's not that.
it's 20
I'm just
for your
curious.
space.
I did run a music festival once.
Yeah, so 20 for this space. And again, this isn't long-term. This is just for now, because we've got to do these different things
Yeah.
to make it happen. So,
Director Hupper.
And you pay your $20, you get to choose your space.
yes,
Like first come gets under the tree.
no, online, you are gonna pick your space
We know. where
on
we're
a
going.
seating thing. You pick your space and you hit that you want that space. It's on a ticketing system and you buy that space. So when you come in, your ticket's gonna say that you're on space F32 and you're gonna go find F32. We'll have
When do these go on sale?
Probably 30 days before the concert. So Tim's just finalizing everything. We had to get a ticketing system. He had to measure everything out. It's been a lot of work.
And just out of interest, I mean, usually we go and we present up on the stage and everything. So we have to pay also and determine where we're going to
I think
sit.
we'll have more discussions offline about how you guys are
I
getting there,
mean,
but
it's not a big deal.
yeah,
We can probably
but you
afford
guys, if you want to and you can come, the idea will be still that you'll be on stage. So we'll just follow whatever the guidances are at that point. But yeah.
Do we know who the performers are for the concerts?
Yeah, it's on the back of your guide, right back here.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't
So
see that.
Memorial Day is the Garrett Wilkin and the Parrot Heads. Jimmy Buffett music. Yep, and then you can see the other ones too.
Good.
No Cyndi Lauper or Madonna, so not my age.
And one of the reasons, I mean, Rochelle and her team did a great job of formulating this
Yeah.
too, but like, and I can't stress enough, the social marketing and all the things that Rochelle has to do this, and actually, and we're not telling you this just as board members, so because we want you to attend, but please, and we know a lot of you who are, I mean, George probably has been to 200 or 300 concerts in the park. And same thing with Sue. Yeah, so so spread the word. Spread
Yeah.
the word to people, because what we don't want is the person to show up and go, I didn't know. It's going to happen, but we're trying to spread the word as much as possible so
Yeah,
people.
that's gonna happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but we're trying to minimize that as much as possible. So get the word out, through the Acorn, through social media, through everything. So that way, hey, get your tickets.
From the fence.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because the day that of the park will actually get closed, so nobody will be able to go into it several hours before the concert starts. And then we believe we're going to be putting some fencing up and having just a couple entrances on both sides, so people that will funnel people in. We'll probably have security to some kind of an extent. We don't want our staff walking around telling people you have 5 in your circle, like take the other one. So security will probably be there to help us with that, so we don't have to do it.
Just as a suggestion, because I did the Oakland Music Festival, and I mean, they had to pay to go there. That was not free. And maybe if you title it somehow different from just concerts in the park, which they've been going to free for so long, maybe change the name somehow
Yeah.
and say tickets available here or what,
Yeah,
whatever.
a lot of the marketing already went out because we knew we had our bands and stuff. So unfortunately, it doesn't say on this, but all marketing moving forward will be, register here, ticket only, that kind of thing. And there will be some banners probably at Kaneha, just because that's where it happens, so one on each side. And then there'll be a ton of social media marketing and probably an ad in the Acorn, probably a press release in the Acorn too, that this year is different. And it'll probably be this year's different for 4th of July too. There's no viewing locations, so, but that'll get much closer to the event, because maybe, who knows, maybe the rules will change.
Yeah, I say we'll pivot again as needed. Thank you. Director Lane?
Yes, and kind of alluded to the morning of the concerts, people go there early, and I'm one of them, upper, about putting your blankets around, so you better close the park for sure the night before.
Yeah, people.
Fence
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna have to figure that out, because I hate to have the park closed where kids and families can't come and play at the park all day,
Well,
but
it
we might need
It
to.
happens, yeah, I think.
We might need to.
Also, there's gonna be a flyover, so I'm
Oh,
working
that's
on
right.
that.
Yeah,
So, we're hoping for 5 aircraft, but unfortunately, a father-son pilot, their father died down in Florida. And they've been asked to do a flyover down there for the service for their father. And they only got 2 days to get back here, so the possibility it'll only be 3 aircraft, but still gonna have a flyover this year.
Will the 3 aircraft be socially distanced?
I'm sure they will be.
yes, thank
Also
you for
wanted
doing
to
that.
compliment you or sharing with us the improved attendance and lack of cancellations. That's really good to hear. I wanted to make sure that we're getting in the right direction. You also mentioned something about 4th of July here in the parking lot. And you said, I heard $100. Is that per space?
That's what we're thinking right now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, good report, a lot of good things happening and a lot of different ways and new ways you have to do things, and you guys are doing very good, so thank you.
Director Cusworth?
This is all very exciting. I think this has been an exciting meeting. Things always happening. I have a couple questions. So this is nitpicking. Is the 4 per square including children?
Yes.
So if a family has 3 kids, They would have to get 2 squares. Okay. I wanted to say that in the Acorn today, there was a few letters complimenting the CLU pool. Sometimes we just get a negative letter about the CLU pool, but congratulating the staff for, you know, their care in keeping people safe. So I thought I would just mention that. And where do we get the information on the Reign of Terror?
You can go to Reign of Terror online. Just type in Google Reign of Terror and it'll pop right up and you can buy your tickets there.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Oh, what?
ROTHauntedhouse.com.
Okay.
That
I
was,
think it's on Hillcrest Arts too.
It is. There's a link there also.
that is rothauntedhouse.com. Very good. Okay. Anything else, Director Cuthbert?
Well, I guess I'll talk about the program guide. I brought these. I was going to say it in my own, but I'll bring it. So I noticed in the last 2 program guides, the spring one, and I'm assuming that this was Mr. Hare's inclusion also, it had all of this information about our trucks and maintenance
Mhm.
crew.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
And then I noticed in this one, we had a lot of information about our playgrounds and, you know, how they have to be designed, the maintenance of them, how much it costs to usually build them. And I just thought those were very nice inclusions, so the public knows how much it costs to run the parks. I think the people in Kaneha Valley have just become very used to beautiful, well-maintained parks, and without thinking, oh, there's a lot of trucks that have to be maintained. There's a lot of personnel that has to be paid. There's a lot of replacement costs. There's a lot of design, and all of this is expensive. And I think it's just sort of like, I'm sure every woman has said to her husband, dinner just doesn't appear, you know, food just doesn't appear. Clothes just are not automatically clean in this house. But, you know, sometimes that isn't it, you know, people get used to that. And so I think that those are good inclusions to kind of educate the public on what it does cost to keep this park in the state, the beautiful state that we have it in.
Thank you. Yeah,
So-
Rex's very generous in offering us half a page or sometimes up to a full page in a fairly prime position there, so we can come up with some educational and informational items.
Yeah, because I really thought it was very well done.
Thank you.
Well, I would second that. I think it was a good contribution. I had a couple of questions. We talked about things just kind of picking up a little bit. How are we doing with staffing as far as, you know, getting the part-time positions up? And I know I've seen a lot of online advertisements to hire people. How is that coming with what you have compared to what you used to have and what you hope to get? Are people actually applying?
Yes, we are getting applications. I think the last time I asked for the summer camp stuff, we had 35 applications. So they're doing interviews and stuff. We, you know, in the summer we hired like an additional 100 people. Now I believe it's going to be a little bit different this year because we're not able to open as many programs due to the restraints on how many kids are in programs. But with that being said, there are people applying. I have not seen very many applications coming or packets coming over my desk yet. But the next month they should be ramping up for all the summer stuff. All of our folks that currently work for us, I'd say 90%, maybe 95% of them are working and getting closer to the amount of hours that, if not hitting the amount of hours that they had before. So we did have a couple of additional people that we hadn't been able to get back to work yet that gave us their notice and decided to move on to other things rather than continuing to wait for something to come up. You know, our sports department has been hit the hardest.
Mhm.
It's just there's not work when there's no adult leagues going on.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months, that'll all start picking up as sports are coming back. And I mean, because the big thing is you can't have leagues, you can't have tournaments. So once those things start coming back, then hopefully the sports department will pick back up. Rentals, reservations for picnic areas are starting to pick up. That is a department that usually makes a decent amount of money for us. So that's starting to come back. People are like, oh, my daughter didn't have her quinceañera, or, you know, different things that didn't happen over the last year. People are looking for space to do something this year. So again, as those restrictions become less, we'll start seeing more of it happen. But as far as staffing, I believe that we are doing pretty good. I think there is always a nervousness when summer comes aboard that, oh my God, we have to open all these programs and we don't have qualified staff, and then we have to train staff and hire staff. I think that's pretty normal feeling every summer. So what'll be really interesting is what's the qualification of the people that are applying, and you know, are they really interested in a seasonal type position?
Oh, good. Well, I know it's like I said, each week is new and exciting, so appreciate your efforts to continue to at least put us in the direction where it's a positive experience for the residents and as well as the staff. So look forward to that increasing as best we can.
Yeah.
And I have one additional question. I don't know if you can answer this or if Scott Buchanan. On the Zoomapalooza, it says a witty, silly one acts for about life on Zoom. We're just curious, is this a homegrown generated production, or is this something which that came elsewhere and it's being modified? Just get kind of curious what that's all about.
Since Scott's here, I'll let him answer.
Original plays, one written by Victoria Sage, our former administrative clerk, and a co-worker where she works now wrote the other one over there. So they're written specifically to deal with all the issues of trying to do things on Zoom that everybody's doing. So rather than fighting the Zoom, they're just embracing the Zoom. So the kids are at home and doing all their performance from their house like they do at school and everything else, but this is they've done as a play.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
not
Okay.
the first one we've done, but this one is the first one that's fully embraced all the issues, good, bad, and different.
Okay. That's interesting.
And
So
it'll probably get licensed and other people can do it there. We actually figured out that they could do it later by creating little monitors, put the kids in little monitors, and that they're in Zoom when they do it. And
Okay.
it's all the play later.
very cool. Well, thank you. It looks like it's just an interesting twist on how to be creative, and from a creative group, I'm not surprised at all. So thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the Management Services Division with a report from an undisclosed location. Ms. Smith is with us via Zoom. Good to have you with us this evening.
Thank you, Chair Nichols. Good evening, directors. I will keep it pretty brief. I will be back for the next meeting in person, so you're not rid of me. The last couple weeks, we have primarily been focusing on implementing the COVID relief legislation. And then this week we were successfully able to complete our first payroll using that tax credit that we were finally available to get access to. So that was our big news. It was a whole bunch of work, and I want to give a lot of credit to Loretta and Michelle for making that happen, and Shelly for figuring out how the heck to do it. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any questions for Ms. Smith?
Good to
Very
see
good.
you.
Yes, good to see you. We'll see you live and in person next time. But thank you for the report. With that, now we'll move back to the
Yes, the general manager.
general manager's report. Okay.
Thanks, Chair Nichols, members of the board. Had a couple of Zoom meetings with Jackie Irwin and her representatives, and also representatives from Senator Stern, and was put together by the CSDA folks about our being shut out or not included in the federal COVID relief funding that's been received by the state, and to petition, or to ask them to commit to support some legislation for us to be included in that. And I think Jim sent around that email or letter from a few weeks ago, but I think the CSDA is asking for about 2.1 billion of that to spread amongst the special districts. So it was very well received and good meetings had, and I think we're going to get some really good support from Senator Stern and Jackie Irwin regarding that. Also, we talked this morning, the administrators were targeting April 26th for Hillcrest Center to be open to the public, kind of like how it was just before. Again, it's still limited. We're going to be following public health orders, what needs to happen. But public will be allowed here. We're going to have appointments preferred. We, of course, people can drop in, but if someone needs to see Andy Morales about like a reservation or something like that, they could call him and come in and get his reservation. I want to say just again, shout out to Melissa and her team and to Tom Hare and his team, what they've been doing for COVID, but real big shout out to, we've been talking about this for the past few weeks. I actually believe coming out of COVID will be 10 times harder than going into COVID and during COVID for the recreation staff, because there's such high expectations from the community. Hey, we're back, let's do this. And to come out of it seemed to be, I don't say difficult, it's probably the wrong word, it's challenging. And I think the recreation folks are ready to hit it out of the park, and so the community can embrace what we're doing and how we're doing it, whether it's the conference in the parks on July 4th or summer camps or whatever it is. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Make sure that you, whether you want to text him or email him, you can tell Jim that this was the best run meeting you've ever attended. 5 stars, however you want to do it. However you want to do it. I'm just saying, you can say that and just make sure you just private message him, whatever you want to do, and let him know that it's never been done better. Just give you a little status on Jim. Talk to him nearly daily. I've talked to some of you about it, but it's great just even talking about the first couple of days after he was definitely in a mental fog, because he just really didn't understand what was even going on. And he's getting a little clearer and clearer every single day. You have Zoomed and FaceTimed with him, and he looks normal. And he was actually in here on Wednesday. He was in here for about an hour or two, but he looks fine. And he even was talking about his, because this is his moneymaker right here, is his face. So he didn't get any scratches up here. It was all on his back of his left shoulder and his back of his head. But so he looks good. He's still feeling, because it's all inside. So it's all inside. So but every single day I could tell he's getting better and better and better. So I'll talk to him probably tomorrow or over the weekend, and his goal would be to return to work on Monday. But trying to keep him. It was kind of even interesting, even with this meeting tonight, when we were talking a few days ago. And usually he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be." I mean, it could be anything else. And then I was just about to make a huge argument, like, "Dude, you need to stay home. Take your time." And I said, "Hey, I'll cover the board meeting." He goes, "Okay." Yeah. I was like, so it's physically challenging for him to be out and about for any length of period of time. Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious, you know that you talked about this up here. Didn't he have some reaction with his legs?
No. Ribs, collarbone, lung. That was upper. I mean, not that I don't remember him telling me anything about his lower body, but it was everything. And from what I'm just imagining, and right, George, he needs to attend a class, but it seems like when he was going over that, he fell to his left, kind of like his left upper back, and that's why it got his shoulder and the back of his helmet on the left side was kind of messed up too. With any other questions?
Do you think the general manager is watching tonight's meeting by chance?
Nope. And I told him not to.
Okay.
So that was good. Yeah, I know I probably should have asked before that, but yeah, give the reviews. Give the reviews. I could write them for you too. But just from that, yeah, no, it's actually good. That's a good question, because I thought for sure he was going to say, "Oh, I'll just peek," and he goes, "No, I'm not even. It's just too much." He's engaged on some of other things. Me and him talk daily, and he's engaged on a lot of things. But with not that he doesn't love you guys, but he's just like that's a long day. It's a long day for him to be doing something this late at night. So he's like, yeah, no problem. I won't even zoom in. I'm good. I was like, cool.
Very good. All right. Thank you for that update. Questions? Okay. With that, we'll go into director's reports. Director Huffer, I'll start with you. Any director's reports, follow-ups, meetings, conferences attended, anything at all?
Nada.
Same here.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I know well, go ahead. Let's continue on. Director Lang.
Yes, BCSDA had a meeting Tuesday, MRCA on Wednesday. And then last week, Thursday, COU corporate leaders had I thought, a very worthwhile event, the Zoom. It was on it wasn't a Zoom program, it was another program, and I should have written it down. Oh, Remo, I did write it down, Remo meeting. And you come in on the meeting and it's just like a not dining hall, conference. And there's tables and there's chairs and your initials are at the chair around the table. And you can, half hour before the meeting started, you could do networking, say hi to people and so forth. And then after the title of the program was The Future of Virtual Health. Very interesting, talking about how health the direction is going, virtual meetings with your doctor and sending them your blood pressure, etc. Some of this is already happening, one of the people on there were two speakers. One that I spoke to one-on-one afterwards is the head of the Los Robles medical group, medical team. She's a medical doctor, but she's not the physician in charge, but she's above that. But anyway, this program allows you to have interaction with the speakers afterwards, ask questions, and any other person who's at the conference at the Remo meeting. So I just was none of the people that I spoke with had ever been on a Remo call before. So it was a learning experience for all of us. But it definitely is something coming out of COVID. This type of event, being able to gather in a quote unquote room and see other people at the conference there around the table and being able to interact with them and network, etc. I was very impressed. So that was my other activity. Thank you.
Sure. Director Cusper?
No, I have no
Okay.
report.
Okay. All right. Very good. I too was at our special meeting and at the SDA meeting, VCF, Ventura County SDA meeting, or one of the supervisors, Carmen Ramirez, was our guest, and that was very good to hear from her. One thing I did want to mention is that the Charlotte Holyfield with SDA was very complimentary about our general manager as to generating a lot of interest in getting funding for SDA, that he was kind of taking that up under his wings and made that happen. So they were very complimentary to his efforts on behalf of the organization. Director Lang?
Yes, on that topic, VCSDA, VCSDA and the old state sent Jim flowers and a thank you or a get well type of communication. So they think a lot of Jim.
Yes, he's well worth being thought of, definitely. Okay, with that, we'll go on to item number 12, requests for status reports and items for subsequent agendas. Nothing there. Okay, just as a FYI, I did have a conversation with Mr. Hare about what is the district policy in the event the general manager is out of commission. Is there something that's automatic where someone steps up? And I guess it's maybe kind of more understood than it is in practice. So we thought maybe we'll revisit that, make sure we do have something in place where something is officially recognize if we don't have it in our policies and practices, to how just kind of make sure there's a smooth transmission is needed. I
But
know we have a great,
want to thank Tom for doing this.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Just in case something happens, yeah.
yeah. Because
He did more than a
in fact,
good job. He did an excellent job.
Excellent.
Thank you.
yeah, I know we do have.
How do you spell excellent?
Yeah, I was just saying hypothetically, if the general manager happened to get injured and happened to be in the hospital for a couple of days, is there something automatic? He says, well, no, there really isn't. I said, well, okay, let's make sure that we have
There has
something
been.
in place. So
We're happy.
again, it's kind of a small organization and, we know how things work. Appreciate Tom's efforts, and Rochelle does a great job too. But, sometimes there's a matter of legalities and how things work. I just want to make sure that we're covered for that. So we're going to be
That's a
looking at
good
that.
point, because general manager could be incapacitated and not able to.
Exactly. And since we don't have an official assistant general manager, it's something we need to look at. So we'll be talking care of that. Take care of that. Okay, next is items for the public. Do we have any that's waiting all evening? Okay, so nobody there. We have no closed session, so that will bring us to adjournment. And so our next meeting will be May the 6th, unless something happens between now and then. So thank you all. Have a good evening.
And thank you, Gabby.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Your chair is empty. You gotta fill it next time.
Absolutely.